It's the PutemupPodcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Welcome everybody to PutemupPodcast, episode number 5. Super excited to talk about today's show, man. But before I get into all that and what we have planned for you guys today, I can't do it without my co-host, Mr. Patrick Regalado. What's going on, brother?
What's up? Hey, how are you? Everything's great, man. Looking forward to the new year. Had a great Christmas. And sad to say that this is the last show of the year, but I'm looking forward to the next shows that are coming up. I do know that today we have an explosive show. So I'm not going to really take too much time. I want to really kind of get right into it. I know we have a guest in the house, so I'm going to kick it right back to my host, Mr. Frank Mordejon.
Thank you, brother, man. Thank you so much. Today, as promised, ladies and gentlemen, when we created the Put 'em Up podcast, we said that we're going to bring people on this show that basically are behind the scenes of MMA, that create MMA in the state of Florida, that make it all happen. We always talk about the top 10 names that people should know in MMA. This gentleman is definitely on that list. This is a person who has helped in the sanctioning body, who has helped referee, who has helped build cages, who has helped fix cages, who has helped in every possible angle in the business of MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, that name that everybody knows in this Florida MMA community is no other than Padrino, the Godfather. Woo! Welcome, Mr. Padrino.
All right.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Patrick. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate it. The invitation over here. And hey, we can keep going and talk about what's going on with the MMA life.
That's right, brother. That's right. I the reason why I wanted you on, I appreciate you, hanging out with us. How was the hotel, by the way? You good?
Perfect. Great.
Everything was
I
good?
have no complaint. Thank you.
Awesome. We want to make sure you were treated well, brother,
Yes.
and because you deserve it, man.
Thank you.
You've been there for us. You've been there for the entire community, and you've helped us. I've got a lot of stories, but I know time is short here at this podcast. We're doing commercials every 5 minutes. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. First of all, real quick, tell us a little about yourself. How'd you get started in MMA, especially in Florida?
I got started a long time ago when I was helping. The first MMA was by a guy named Bruce, and we did it, and then from there I started building cages in my own gym. I built cages for Fight Time, MMA Masters, different people. I sold all my cages that I built, and everything was good, was great. And I started helping people to become fighters.
And that's how you pretty much grew into the MMA community to be one of the indispensable figures. Because, I think so, because he's helped from every single angle, whether it's matchmaking or refereeing or helping to build cases. And I know that there's a few stories out there about you saving the day. So all of that has been part of your MMA South Florida career.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I love what I do. I love the sport, and I have a lot of satisfaction helping the others and seeing people keep going. That dude, my age, I cannot go inside the cage and find nobody, But at least I see people and I see a lot of potentials out there, and I'm happy to see him grow.
Well, I do know that you are part of the interior of MMA and can give us a lot of insight as to what goes on behind the scenes, things that shouldn't be going on, things that do go on. I know that perhaps you can give us a couple of stories and a few scenarios, but our main focus is how do you see MMA? How are you seeing MMA, the health of MMA here in South Florida?
Well, I see it good, great. The only thing that I will say is I would like to see more promotions with less business and more for the fighters, helping the fighters to keep growing up and doing better shows. Right. Like in the East Coast, you got a Combinite, and the West Coast, you got Quest.
And those are the guys that
in those two different sides. To the West Coast, East Coast, there are two people there that are doing good for the community and the MMA.
Yeah, more shows since it's the end of the year, and the stats already out. Florida MMA stats already out, and we find out that there are more amateur shows than there are pro shows.
Yes, sir.
And that has to do with with the business in itself. How many people make more money on amateur shows than they do on pro shows. So speaking about stats, I wanted to get to you real quick before we go on another commercial break. I want to get you on how these MMA promotions are building their fight cards or building these fighters. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how these sanctioning bodies are allowing these fights to happen, how these matchmakers are getting involved, when do the managers get involved, how much of the promotion's finances are involved in matchmaking. I'll break down the formula of how to matchmake, and I was taught by a young lady. Her name was Carla Davis, who Fight Time Promotions, which God bless her. I learned so much from her. She taught me what it truly is to matchmake and how it's beneficial for the promotion, right? And how you don't lose money and what makes sense when you're putting these fight cards together. So let's talk about that. Let's figure some things out. I got some things to tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen up, call your friends, share this on Facebook, on Instagram, and you will not be disappointed how we're going to break down how a fight card is set up and what aspect everybody has, what piece of the pie everybody has in making that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
It's the PutemupPodcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
What?
It's the PutemupPodcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Put 'em Up Podcast. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Share, like, comment, do all that good stuff, man. Subscribe to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Padrino inside the house today. We're talking MMA. We're talking about the fight cards, the sanctioning. We left off that we were going to dissect one of the cards that happened this month. Let's pick Titan FC, I guess, because they're the #1 show here, and they're always putting out content, doing all great stuff here in the state of Florida. We talked about, since you represent a sanctioned body. Who's do you represent?
Uppercut Promotions. That's Uppercut Promotion, but is sanctioning body.
It's a sanctioned body. Who owns that?
That's Brett.
Brett.
I cannot pronounce the last name. It's crazy.
He's out of the Weston area, up in Broward area.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, he sanctioned a couple of fights. When was the last sanctioned fight?
That was December 17
at Dania Beach.
At Dania Beach.
Deuces Wild.
So is Uppercut Promotions also doing shows other than sanctioning?
Used to be Rendice.
Oh,
Rendice. I remember those guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was it. But this is a guy that he does do it for fun.
Okay.
He just like it. He just like the sport and love the sport and like to help people.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want to talk about today. So today we'll pick Titan FC's card. They did a show. They had 10 fights on the card. And I find this fascinating. I'm probably the only one who can dissect this the way I do. My wife says I find everything fascinating. But this truly is how the game of MMA is run in the state of Florida. So, for example, we have a fighter who I'm picking out not only because it's Titan FC, because this fighter is the #1 fighter in the state of Florida right now. And I'll tell you why. Because he has more fights than anybody else in the state of Florida. This guy is 7-0. He's undefeated. He's got more fights than anybody in the state of Florida. And how those records come about is that if you're from Florida and you fight in Florida, that's where your stats come from, right? So the top 10 guys in the state of Florida who are undefeated, not all of them are from Florida. Right? Some come from Mexico, coming from Georgia, and the reason why that happened this year is because Combate Global did their tournaments here in Florida, and they had a show almost every week,
right,
and they were bringing people from outside of the state, so therefore the numbers went up and down. So let's take the #1 fighter. Let's look at, if you go to the computer screen here for a second, let's go to the computer screen, and you'll see that Roy Echeverria, he's 7-0. This is the guy who's the #1 fighter in Florida based on performance, right? He's fought more times than anybody else, and he's undefeated. So here's the meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I want to know. For those who are not seeing this on video and you're listening to it, it's basically I'm showing Roy's his fight record, right? So he's 7-0. He's got all these greens or all these wins. Here's where the meat and potatoes come in, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a fighter who, if you think he's 7-0, you think he's a bad brother. This guy is a bad brother, undefeated, 7-0, fought more times. He's from Goatshed, which Goatshed is a credible, MMA company, gym. So why is it then? And I'm asking you, Padrino, I'm asking you, playing devil's advocate, sanctioning body, person who's referee, person who's matchmaking. Why is it that we have a guy like this who's 7-0 fight people who is less qualified than him? How is this happening, and how does it benefit the promotion? How does it benefit the fighter? And I'll give you an example. Let's look at one of the fighters, right? Let's look at Ernest Walls. Ernest Walls, no disrespect to Ernest Wall, but this brother hasn't won a fight in, he's got 19 losses. He hasn't won a fight since 2018, right? No disrespect to him, but this is a guy that you definitely want to lift up your record with. But here's the thing. This brother is from out of town. Not only does he fight him once, but he fights him twice. So going back to you, Mr. Padrino, you have a guy who's 7-0.
Yeah.
And, he's getting patented with fighters who hasn't fought in about a year, hasn't fought in about 2 years. These people have fought in 2 years. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a combination of promoter, coach, and matchmaker. The matchmaker's not doing the job and looking for a person, the real fight. There's a competition for this guy. Or the coach is protecting the fighter. Or the promoter is telling that matchmaker, I don't want to spend money on people, bring people from other places. You got Roberto Trujillo from New Mexico, 5-0, 135er. Great fighter. Okay? But why didn't you bring that one in?
Yeah.
Bring this guy twice.
Yeah.
And this is what we're discussing right now.
Yeah.
I don't doubt Roy. No, I don't doubt. I know him personally.
Yeah.
I don't doubt him.
Yeah, he's got skills.
He's a fighter.
He's got skills.
He's a good fighter.
There's no doubt. We're not disrespecting Roy in any which way. But this is a business, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
This is a business, and this is the business side of MMA. This is how I figured this shit out, right? So I'm looking at Roy's record. No disrespect to Goatshed. That's a badass. He's an amazing brother.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with the fight. Let's look at the business. Forget the fighter. Forget the gym. Let's look at it from a promotional standpoint. First of all, if you look at that fight card, and no disrespect to Titan FC, brother, but if nobody's like what I'm saying, don't be mad at the messenger. It's all here documented. It's all, you can see it for yourself, and you can analyze it for yourself. But at the end of the day, some people say, oh, well, Frank, that's interesting. And other people say, who gives a fuck? It's a show. Let the show be a show. Who cares? I'm just saying, if you want to look at the health of MMA, if you want to break down the psychology of MMA, if you want to look at it from a business perspective, forget feelings, forget friendships, forget everything, put it aside, what makes this fight card? How did the matchmaker make this fight card? How did the promotion allow this fight card? How did the sanctioning body allow this fight card?
I can give you one thing. Maybe Roy is selling 200 tickets, just saying numbers,
Gotcha.
Right.
200 tickets, and they want them in the car, yes or yes. That's why they bring anybody who fight them, just to have them.
As a person who's worn all these hats, the matchmaking, the sanctioning body, where do you feel the fault lies?
Well, before you answer that question, another quick commercial break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. You want to tune into this one. We'll see you soon.
It's the PutemupPodcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
What?
Put 'em up.
It's the PutemupPodcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Put 'em Up Podcast. Like, subscribe, share, do all that on social media. We're in the middle of a conversation with Padrino. Pat, what was your question?
Well, being that Padrino has worn so many hats, sanctioning body, refereeing, matchmaking, and so forth, I think he's the one who's able to explain to us why are these things happening and what can we do to solve them, in your opinion.
Patenting a fighter's record, is that new or old?
That is being more frequently now than before. I don't know why. Maybe everybody's because thinking that I want to do all this and I want to have a lot of winning fights so I can go the next step level. Go to Dana White or UFC or
Yeah.
and they're just trying to have a good record that
winning
they can
record.
show off. That's it, a winning record. But on the other end, we're gonna look at it as a business. If you're selling me 200 tickets, I'm gonna put you in my card. I don't care if it's with the cat that I have in my house.
Right.
Because I want you in there because you have followed, and that's the best thing on the fighter. And a pure example, Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
Who was Kimbo Slice? A backyard fighter.
Yeah.
How he made it to the UFC? He got a lot of people following him.
Yeah.
Intelligent way. I bring Kimbo to my UFC. I got some million people looking at him or whatever. It's a show.
Yeah, and to your point, Kimbo Slice, Dana White went on record saying that he'll never have Kimbo Slice on the UFC. Sure enough, months later, Kimbo Slice are doing commercials for The Ultimate Fighter. The only fighter in that team that was doing commercials, single commercials to promote the show was Kimbo Slice. Finally he gets on the show. Finally he becomes a UFC fighter. But to Kimbo Slice's, he adapted as much as he can. I mean, he beat Ken Shamrock, right?
Yeah.
So he did amazing stuff. He beat Data 5000.
Yeah, but
as well.
what I mean with that, Frank, is it's a business.
Yeah, it's a business.
It's that's
so
exactly
you're saying,
what a
you're saying you're
regular
patenting
fighter
the fighters, you're putting them on the card because they bring in ticket sales.
Yeah, they're
right?
bringing business.
Let's look at it from a promotion point of view real quick. And ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand the game of matchmaking. So if you don't understand it, all matchmakers, listen up. Because if you're not doing this, shame on you. The bottom line is for the promoter not to lose money, you got to correctly matchmake these fighters. So if you don't know, let me give you a one-on-one lesson on that.
There you go.
So let me just say, Padrino, you have a record of 5-0. You're the man. You're undefeated. You, Mr. Pat, have a record of 5-0. But you're out of California. So if I put you two together right off the bat, it's an expense on me to get you from California because I'm looking at airfare, not just for you.
Right.
I got to pay airfare for your coach. I got to get a hotel room. I got to get you per diem for food and all that stuff. So you come with a cost. Now, the only way I'm going to make up for that cost is if this guy right here that you're fighting sells the tickets in which you have spent already on airfare and food and everything else. So I'm not just matchmaking a 5-0 versus a 5-0. That doesn't help me as far as me saving money for the company or even making money. What helps me is that if I get a 5-0 and a 5-0 that sells tickets locally that'll make up for his airfare. Now, if I can find that guy, then that's the match I'll make. If I don't find that guy, then guess what happens to the guy who's 5-0 from California?
Doesn't come here.
Doesn't come. I'm not spending my money on that. I'd rather turn the card around, now look for a 4-0 guy, a 3-0 guy who's local that I can convince the Florida Boxing Commission to say, you know what, he's got 2 fights, but, he's a black belt in martial arts, he's a jiu-jitsu master, and I can convince them to say, okay, well, now you're talking and maybe we can make it happen, right?
There you go.
So
Back
there
to
is
business.
a business side to matchmaking, and matchmakers, if you're not doing it that way, you're not doing justice to the promotion. You've got to be able to make sure that the fights are good, they're equally matched, but it's not at the cost, if you will, of the promotion itself. It doesn't make sense if you're going to spend an extra $2,000. And don't give me this bullshit about, we're going to break even when we put the match. Nobody likes to break even on anything, right? Because that's not what business is about. Business is bottom line is to make money. So when you look at the Titan FC card, you'll probably say, with your experience, well, Frank, out of the 20 fighters, which of them were out of town? And I would have went, wow, that's a great question, Pat, because the only one I see is one guy from out of town. And then you'll probably say, well, Titan FC, they spend a lot of money. The UFC Fight Pass, they this and that. How come they're not bringing any more people from out of town to make sure that these guys don't patent their record? And don't be mad at the messenger. If you get upset because I'm saying that you're patenting the guy's record, then take it off Tapology and MixedMartialArts.com because the records are there.
Yep.
Like, don't be mad at me. You put a guy who's 7-0, but his five of those fights are people who haven't fought in a year, people who have 19 losses straight in a row. Now, I get it. If I'm Goatched, and let's say the promotion came to me and said, this is the guy you're fighting, I'll take it. What,
Right.
for the same pay? What does that mean? That means same amount of money, less work. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? So But to you, playing devil's advocate, if you were the Florida Boxing Commission and you see a guy who's 7-0 versus 2-19, would you approve that?
No.
Why?
Not at all. Because it's not fair. It's not fair. It's no for me as if we're gonna look at the fighter and the fighter records and all that and see if this is good, for the fighter. It's not. It's just gonna be a one side. And that's one. And second of all, why are you going to put the guy that have 2-17 that is a total of 19 fights and get a guy that is 7-0 but he doesn't have the competition.
Especially if you do it twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
To your point, both times that he fought him ended in first round in matter of seconds, matter of minutes. So that I don't know if that was even a fill-in. If that, mind you, they paid for this guy to come down
over,
to lose. Right. That's how much they believed in their fighter to make it 7-0.
Why are they spending that money and that guy come and lose? Why didn't go and look for somebody to have better record than putting it?
Well, let's talk to the matchmaker. You know who the matchmaker of Titan FC is?
No, sir.
Huh. Well, we're going to have to find that guy.
Well, I know who it is. But you can't do a lot of things at one time. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk more about this. Another commercial break. We'll be right back.
It's the Putem Up Podcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
What? That is coming out of a loss.
It's the Putem Up Podcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to PutemupPodcast, Podcast, episode 5. If you like what you're hearing, and we're going to get more deep into this, please share it, comment, follow, subscribe, all the good stuff.
All that stuff.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So we're here talking with Padrino, the Godfather of MMA. We're talking about fighters who their records are definitely patented by either promotion, either by the matchmaker, either by somebody in the boxing commission who allows it, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, you have a fight. At the end of the day, Titan FC put on 10 fights. Now, probably 4 of them ended like that, but it is what it is. They make their agreement with UFC Fight Pass. They have content. They put it out there. The fact that it's at the end of the year, maybe their budget is already calculated and they're not going to put more of a budget till next quarter, till February, and maybe that will make a decision as to who we're bringing in at the end of the year, if it makes sense from them from a business. So there's a lot of factors that go into making a matchmaking aspect of it, right? But when you look at stuff like this, and the reason why I'm bringing it up, because I know I'm going to get some feedback on, okay, Roy is the #1 Florida from a performance point of view. He's fought more times than anybody else. He's undefeated. But their argument is, well, yeah, but look who we fought.
Yes.
Look who we fought, man. 4 of those guys haven't fought in a year, maybe 2 years, and they're 19 losses straight in a row. I mean, come on, has he really been tested? But
he was tested.
Oh, he was.
He was tested this last one.
Yeah,
real
what
top
was
guy.
it? Cruz, no?
Yeah, Cruz. Last name Cruz. I think
And that brother was a bad brother.
Yeah.
Like that was out of all his fights.
Yes.
That's the guy that took him to put him to the test. And to Roy's defense, he beat him.
Yeah.
He beat him. So I'm not taking away from Goat. I'm not saying this brother ain't a bad brother. Yes, listen, you have to be a bad brother to step in the cage, no matter who it is. You have to have that frame of mind, that thought process of, listen, I'm going to go in there. Not too many people go in the cage. Me, myself, I'll avoid going to cage. I'd rather take the fight outside and get it for free, where if I have to defend my family, myself, my kids, that I'll take that fight any day for free. Don't even have to pay me, right? But to get paid to go to the doctor and fix my face up, you gotta be kidding me. Only a certain amount of people will do that. And those are true fighters, true warriors that live every day. And these are these guys. These guys are cage fighters, right? So I can't take anything away from that. All I'm saying is, from a business point of view, if you look deeper into what's happening in the state of Florida, you will see that there is decision-making process throughout the whole thing.
Now, Frank, let me cut you 1 second. When I'm being matchmaking, I have coaches.
Yeah.
Telling me, hey, Padrino, I got a 145-pound guys. He's like this, but I need him to win.
Yeah.
And right then and there, I just stop him. I don't go with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't go with that.
But you know why? Let's go even further than that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know why Why do these people need to win and why you get those phone calls is because the way the system is set up is that these fighters who go to these gyms, who don't pay a dime on membership, who don't spend a dime doing anything, the fighter, the judge, the gym owners are going, listen, brother, we love you, but, this is a business. At the end of the day, I got to get something. So what happens is they patent the fights. They make sure they get the wins. They have to make a win so that they could sell them to the Bellator shows, the PFL shows, and those shows where they can get thousands as opposed to the crumbs that the regional people pay. $400, $500, that doesn't help, right? So they're smart enough to know from a business to use the fighter as an asset for their company and say, hey, you're going to get wins. We're going to bring your stock up so that you're worth more so that we can sell you to the PFLs and to the Bellators and saying you're 7-0.
Right.
He's
So I can get
7-0.
back.
The brother's a bad boy.
Yes. But
Let's give me $10,000.
Right. So what does that do to the promotion company? And is it reflective upon the attendance and the gate? Or do they give a shit? Let's take Titan FC, for example, because they've on UFC Fight Pass.
UFC Fight Pass.
So is it reflective upon the UFC Fight Pass? Do they give a shit about attendance? If you're pitting a 219 against a 5-0 and it's the second fight, how many people are actually going to go and see that?
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, Junior, you want to answer that?
No. We go back.
Uh-huh.
Just have to see how many sell tickets.
Yeah.
Who is the sponsors on that guy?
Right.
And they have to bring it in because you don't know backstage or under the table, however you want to call it, what is the feedback?
Yeah. But that's to my point what I said earlier, how Carla Davis showed me how to match make. If I don't do that, then I'm losing money.
But,
if I don't find that guy who sells tickets, they brought in a guy from Hawaii. Looks like he's fighting out of Hawaii. I'm not sure if he's Hawaii or ATT, but it says Hawaii. So one of the guys in the card is from Hawaii. Let's say they did fly him in from Hawaii. I have to cover that cost. And I need the person that he fights is the guy who sells the tickets.
Yes.
If they didn't do it that way, guess what? They just lost money.
But then sometimes like that when you just thinking about business. But when you're talking about I want to get a good product
Right.
out there, come on.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Come on.
listen.
You're wasting money bringing a guy that is 219 or 217 from some Ohio, whatever he is from, over here to fight a guy that is 7-0, and twice. I want twice.
Yeah.
Why you don't stop? Okay, first fight, okay, done. Why you don't go and get somebody else?
So for me, that's
You're
an
spending the money.
obvious. That's an obvious way reason why I'm patenting his record. That's obvious. I'm using the same guy twice, almost back to back, and he wins always in the first round. That should never happen.
Yes.
There's too many fighters. There's 600 fighters a year that go through the state of Florida. You mean to tell me out of those 600 you can't find one? Sure you can. We just didn't want to. Right, because it was easier for the fighter, it's easier for this and this and that. Now there could have been a lot of stuff.
Not even have to go Tampa.
Yeah,
You got Danny Darren Gonzalez El Perro, 135er.
he could have done it.
He can done it. He's over there on the other side.
But and listen, with all the social media posting that we have now out there, all the pages we have, look for fighter page and help me find a fighter page.
There's always somebody available.
There's always
to fight.
somebody available to fight.
I feel like we're picking on Roy.
But listen, we're not picking on Roy. Roy's an amazing guy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to wrap this thing up. I just wanted to give, I'm not against Roy, I'm not against Goat Shed. When I'm saying that this is a business, ladies and gentlemen, and I just wanted to open the eyes of people when they see a fight card, what's behind the choices that a promotion makes, what a gym owner makes, what a fighter has to make to accept a fight. If I was Roy, you say, send me the same guy? Okay, same pay?
Yeah.
Shit, I'll take it. I'll beat him again for the same amount of money and less work. Of course I'll take it. Ladies and
But if
gentlemen.
I was a fan, I wouldn't go to that card.
Well, we'll figure this out. Let's go to another commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. We got to wrap this up, but there's more to come. Check us out.
It's the Put 'em Up Podcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
What?
It's the Put 'em Up Podcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Put 'em Up Podcast. Again, if you haven't subscribe, man. It's we got some shows out there that you definitely want to listen to. We're talking with Padrino, Godfather of MMA. He stopped by. We talked about some good stuff. There's so much more to talk about. We don't got too much time. But I definitely want to give you an invite back, man.
Anytime.
Because, again, what we talked about today, let me be 100% clear. What we talked about has nothing to do with Roy.
No.
Roy is an amazing fighter. God bless him. He's the one who's putting everything on the line, that locks himself in that cage, and it's all about him.
Yes.
At the end of the day, he has to perform, and he
Yes.
performs with the tools that Goatshed has provided him with. And if Goatshed didn't do their job, then neither could Roy. Roy is just basically the vessel that says, bring me on, everybody. Their coaches say, bring it on, and they perform, and that's why he's 7-0. So no disrespect to Roy. Definitely, he's an amazing guy to
Yes,
fight.
sir. He's a
He
good
was
fighter.
tested
Yes.
with Walter Cruz guy,
Yes.
and that brother brought him, and he showed that he's worth a fighter. But again, from a business point of view and how these matches are being made, how these fighters are being sold to PFL, to Bellator, how it's working, see between the lines. Everything is right there documented. Don't take my word for it. Look at his record. See how many people he fought. But not just with Roy. I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about if you really want to analyze, the fighters, and people are going to say, well, the Florida MMA Awards gave him Fighter of the Year. Why? When all he fought was bums. Listen, at the end of the day, 1, he got 7 fights in. 2, he's undefeated no matter what. And so that's enough to say what half these people are doing, that they only got 1 fight in for the year, 2 fights in for the year. His brother's working. He's working hard. Goatshed is working hard. They're working overtime. So for that, he deserves Fighter of the Year.
I agree
So
with
we're
you.
not even taking
I
that.
agree with you.
We're not taking that away from him. The brother has done his work. His team has done his work. But all I'm saying, once again, from a business point of view, how these cards are being made and how these fighters are used as assets to be sold for more money. That's all I'm saying. And we'll get more into that as we go. Pat?
Well, I agree with everything that you just said, and I want to thank Padrino for being with us here today. We
Thank
definitely
you.
got some good insight. This is obviously information you don't get in many places. I wanted to mention Padrino's The Godfather bail bonds.
That's
right.
my job.
So if you guys ever get locked up or something like that, you know who to call. That's 407-919-5567. Padrino Bail Bonds. We want to thank him for coming on the show. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Great. We've got a little local news to talk about. This past week, we went to Deuces Wild. As usual, they throw a good show. They had some pillow fighting over there also. If you haven't seen pillow fighting, go check it out. It's something that, it was exciting. When the action was on, it was
I
exciting.
was there and I was
FightPFC.com.
There you go.
Great. It was great.
In international news or national news, local news, however you want to call it, one of my favorite fighters, Palomino, was Fighter of the Year for BKFC. Ended his year with 3 successful title defenses, undefeated throughout the year. So I want to congratulate him. Earlier today, before we started the show, we went live on Instagram, and Mr. Lombard was on there. I wanted to congratulate him also. The guy just always stays in the
Busy.
media.
Yeah, he's busy.
Just always stays in the media. He inked a nice little deal there with Dominance MMA. They do a lot of business with Khabib and Henry Cejudo, so they've got a lot of big plans for him. So we want to congratulate him. On the international side, or national, we got George Masvidal and Jake Paul going at it again. So it's up to $5 million now. They're offering Masvidal $5 million plus pay-per-view cuts. Let's see if he bites. Like him or hate him, Jake Paul. And I know this is a little bit out of what we do, but the guy's doing some amazing things for himself. He's doing great things for his own company. People may not like, what's going on, him fighting these ex-MMA fighters or whatever it is. Whatever happened last week with Tyrone Woodley, that was an incredible knockout. I think that Tyrone Woodley should decide maybe to go into pillow fighting. I don't know.
Well, you know that he's a self-made millionaire, man. You can't hold that against him.
You know what? Again, it's not our realm, but the guy, he gives back to the community.
Yeah.
He is creating a great company for himself. I know he signed some boxers, and they're doing great. So good for them.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely capitalized on his success, and he's doing it right. He knows that the social media and platforms in which he's using is bringing him views and it's bringing him money. That's how you do it, man.
Yeah, and
he's definitely been active.
He has been active, and he's contributed back.
He needs to fight more boxers than MMA guys. He needs to He needs to fight more boxers.
Well, there's actually a fight that's in the works, or they're talking about it. If this Masvidal thing doesn't go through, they're talking about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Nice.
So they can match up.
Yeah. Somebody young.
Somebody younger, somebody that actually does fight. So you never know. But we have, this is the end of the year. We want to actually thank everybody, all the listeners, all the subscribers. I know that when Frank and I were at Deuces Wild a couple of weeks ago, we got stopped a couple of times by people who are actually listening to the show. We want to thank you guys. Somebody actually gave me a Christmas card because of this show. So thank you so much. Keep on tuning in. Keep on watching us. We're going to be bringing on some great guests for you guys. We're going to expand our programming. We want to thank you once again for coming on and listening to our show. Have a great year, great new year. Mr. Frank, I want to go ahead and throw it to you for the last word.
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the year, we got the stats.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention a few names who was able to put those stats out. These are people that are undefeated with a lot of more fights. So if we can go to my computer screen real quick. This is from the Florida MMA Stats Facebook page. As you can see here, end of the year 2000 stats are in. Fighter with the most fights in Florida for 2021 is Christian Perez, a fighter out of Mexico. So he's not even a Florida fighter. With a total of 6 Florida fights, a record of 5-1. All 6 fights are via Combate Global while they were here in Miami filming their tournament style show. So shouts out to Christian Perez, but of course he's not a Florida fighter, so he ain't gonna get the credit for it. He ain't a Florida fighter. So number 1 Florida fighter goes to Roy Echeverria.
There you go.
For an undefeated record of 5-0 for 2021. His total fight record is 7-0, and all fights coming via Titan FC. So Roy Echeverria 5-0 from Goatshed, Adrian Garcia 4-0 from Goatshed, Trey Waters 4-0. It says Ludus, but I know he trains somewhere else. Sal Guerrero 4-0 from AT&T, Christopher Danielle out of Jim Allers, Angel Alvarez who's 3-0 from Goatshed again, Devon Dixon 2-1 out of Florida, Delano Taylor 3-0, Eric Alguin 3-0 from Palm Beach Boxing, Franz Miambo 3-0 from Ireland. That brother is bad. He's got a hell of an impressive record. He's got more than 3 fights. But again, he's not from Florida, so that's from Combate Americas. So Ivan Castillo 3-0 from the Black Sexicans. It's supposed to be Mexicans, but Black Sexicans. And Ryan Hughes from Goatshed. So the common denominator there, ladies and gentlemen, is Goatshed. If you haven't checked them out, again, Padrino, thank you so much for making this event happen.
Appreciate it. Thank you so
Twitter,
much.
Instagram, ananything you want to email, anybody you want to put out there so anybody wants to get in contact with you?
Well, anybody want to call me, it's 407-919-5567. I do commissions, I ref, and I get you out of jail when you get caught.
There you go.
Brother. So if you get rowdy at the fights,
there you go.
He'll go ahead and call the fight, and then he'll get you out of jail.
There you go, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for watching Put 'em Up Podcast. Time is always short. We promise to bring you people that work behind the scenes of Florida. We'll work on the fighters coming in, but I wanted to set the stage. I wanted to lay down the foundation, put the faces of the names that people don't see every day, that are not out there in the spotlight, but they're important for the world of MMA, especially here in Florida, and how Florida makes their moves and how it promotes the sport of MMA. So thank you guys for tuning in. From Pat and Mr. Padrino, we'll see you at the fights.
It's the Put 'em Up Podcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
What's